This is Drew.
And this is the movie reviews. And we're reviewing The Black Klansman.
Black Klansman is the 29th film from Spike Lee. My God, is it a return to form.
My God, this is my first time seeing a Spike Lee movie.
See, Spike Lee...
And don't hate me, people. Don't hate me, but yes, this is my first time.
He told me that like during break, and I'm still amazed. But Spike Lee is one of the main reasons why I love film as much as I do. Do the Right Thing is one of the best films of all time. He had kind of a hard time trying to like adjust for the new millennium. After like 25th Hour, like it's been like hit or miss, and it's been more miss than hit. But this is most definitely like a return to form from him. It's Jordan Peele produced, also Blumhouse produced this thing.
Which is weird because we covered the last review of Blumhouse, and Blumhouse, it seems that their
Mainly
repertoire, their
horror.
slate is horror, and then this movie is not a horror. Well, if you can see it,
I mean,
it's
like,
kind of a horror.
I mean, like it's racial horror. I wake up in the middle, like in the night, thinking about KKK.
Yeah.
Cold sweat.
Yeah. So
it's terrible.
So when you brought it up to me, this movie, I'm like, I will go see it. And it had Adam Driver. I'm like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
And it had John David Washington, which you told me that's
Denzel's son, who
what
has like all the mannerisms and everything. I was
now that you say that, yes, he does. What's his name? David Duke.
Yeah, David Duke, who was played by Topher Grace, who I haven't seen Topher Grace since like that '70s show.
I haven't seen him since Spider-Man 3.
Holy shit, does he do it?
Oh my God,
he does a really good job as David Duke, which is something you don't really want to hear, but like he really stays true to the time. Like if you end up looking up pictures of David Duke, he actually has him down to a T. It's amazing what they do with this movie.
And this movie, I thought people were saying, "Oh, it's comedy, it's funny, blah blah." It had funny moments, but this is mostly like a drama biopic, man.
Yeah, it's if anything, I'll say it's one of those films that walks a fine line of comedy and drama really well. It's one of those situations in which you'll sit there and the comedy comes from the awkwardness of racism.
Correct.
It comes from the awkward and cringe-worthy moments that racism can definitely bring forth. Like one of the funniest quotes from this movie is they're sitting there talking about being the Jackie Robinson of the Colorado Springs like police department.
Yeah.
Like he's between that and With the Right White Man Can Do Anything, this movie has so many quotables, so many funny moments.
Yeah,
that's
so good. It's
amazing.
My favorite part of this movie is when Adam Driver tries to pretend to be Ron Stallworth.
Oh yeah, so they can be a combined Ron Stallworth.
Correct.
Yes.
And then he goes and visits the guy's house. I can't remember the guy's actor's name. But he's like, come here, I need to talk to you. So he goes to his office, whatever.
Oh, the lie detector?
The lie detector.
That is hands down
scene.
like one of the funniest scenes I've seen in a minute, just in a film in general.
Yeah, it really...
It definitely walks a fine line between comedy and drama really well. And also it brings up the conversation, does film have we always hear about how film and art imitates life, but what happens when art affects life? Mm-hmm. They end up bringing up that question multiple times, especially with the multiple times they bring up Gone with the Wind and Birth of a Nation.
My God.
Birth of a Nation is one of those films that at the time of release, when W.D. Griffith, he came out with the film, the Klan was dormant. Mm-hmm. That movie came out, the Klan started coming back out. They were back with a vengeance. They were lynching people left and right just because of the release of this film. So when you end up looking at a film like Black Klansman asks this really timely question of what happens when art affects the world and what we can do regarding art and trying to make sure that it doesn't affect us for the worse.
And Spike Lee, believe it or not, the Birth of the Nation harkens back to that, and Spike Lee kind of like, not as a motivation to do the same thing, but warning us of, hey, this is still not over.
Yes,
like he did the same thing as that movie did, but effectively telling the audience, hey, just remind you, we're still in this racism world. There's still people that think like this. So I feel like he took that motivation or that
just the influence.
Of that movie to do the opposite in a good motivational way, you know?
Yeah, there's definitely, when you end up seeing a film like this, everyone ends up asking, oh, why do we have to get political in our films? Sometimes just life has to, when it comes down to films like this, it's a matter of art trying to be a reflection of the time. And the time in which we are in, there's a lot of pain, there's a lot of hatred out there, and that's what this film is trying to tackle. There's moments in which the film may seem like it's trying to pander or like call to some of the issues that are happening nowadays, but when you end up looking at what this film is, it's a biographical period piece. Some of the things that David Duke and his motivations and what the KKK have said in the past hearken to conversations that are being had today. So it's really hard for you to separate both the past and the present and the political issues that are happening in the present with the political issues that are happening in this film. They don't trust cops.
Correct.
It's an issue and also a conversation that is being brought up in today's time as well, in which
I saw your Facebook post today.
Yeah, which
so
police brutality is running rampant, and it's making a lot of issues regarding not just the black community, but just people in general trusting the people who are supposed to help us. It makes it really hard for you to run to the people who are supposed to help you with a problem, and then you end up believing that they're not going to help you because of who you are or who you associate with.
And for Hispanic people too, you know?
Yes,
you know?
And this film definitely tackles that fantastically well. There's one scene in which they're doing the KKK initiations, and they're mirroring it with Harry Belafonte, who is 81. I believe he's 81 at this point. If I'm wrong, correct me, please. Just leave in the comment.
Yeah.
But just the moment when they're just going back and forth and they're showing what the disgrace that is happening between just issues, and with his friend being basically dragged out in the street and lynched, and being mirroring that with them being so happy, being accepted into the KKK. It is just a heartbreaking scene. It's a moving scene. It's one of those situations in which you end up wondering, when will this stop? When will these issues that are happening within today regarding race issues will come to rest? I feel like this film the score on top of that, Terrence Blanchard, he's done 15 films with Spike Lee, doesn't even miss a beat in this. This is John David Washington. He's fantastic. He's a star in the making. Adam Driver,
which I hate that people criticize him because he's always color red. He can act. It's like, bro.
Oh no, he definitely.
Have you seen this movie? Have you seen Silence?
There's
like, this guy has potential.
There's subtleties in his face having to deal with, one, as a Jewish cop having to infiltrate the KKK is fantastic.
So intense and great.
The one scene that just comes to me is the fact that he himself never really thought about being Jewish, and the fact that that's just the case brought that forth to him and made him think about more about.
Because he's not that religious, and he's like, well...
Yeah, he's not that religious, and he just thinks to himself, well, this wasn't that huge of a portion of my life.
until now.
Until now.
Yeah.
Like, it really asks the question of whether or not what you're willing to do and what you're going to do when you're called forth.
Mm-hmm.
Are you willing to take the extra step and actually make a change, or are you just going to sit and stay dormant?
Correct.
And
that's what Ron Stallworth wanted to do, to prove a case that, you cannot step on us because we're also human like you guys. And also, I really like the whole back and forth. I'm not saying the rituals, but it is rituals of the KKK and the.
They're talking about the BSU.
Yes, when they're showing how they do their stuff and how they do their stuff is like more, them is more together and family, and the other one is all like, oh, because we're the white man, we're the children of God and blah blah blah.
It's based off of.
It's like
it's showing the different dualities between hatred and togetherness and what togetherness really is.
Without mentioning God in a really like hateful matter.
Yeah,
against
because at the end of the day, if God really wanted you to hate, that's not what God wants you to do. God wants you to love everybody.
Everybody as
we are all equal.
Mm-hmm.
I thought this movie was fantastic. I thought Spike Lee was holding some really serious restraint, and I was waiting for a specific shot. There was one specific shot that Spike does in like most films that he waited until the perfect point, and I feel like it was used.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
especially.
Like I said, this movie, me that haven't seen a Spike Lee movie, it sounds very bad, but yes, I haven't seen one. And me, for the first time, I think this is like a very like a really.
It's a breath.
It's a breath of fresh air, like you say. It's just.
Yeah.
Like I am interested to see all of his movies now, because the writing was amazing. Like. Based on a real life situation, which at first I'm like, no, this cannot be, and it was true. It was so true because I saw your Facebook video
with
Ron Hunt, the actual person. I'm like, wow, like this is crazy.
Yeah, this is definitely a movie that's one for the ages. I left my theater, and just with the last 2 minutes alone, everyone was left in silence.
Yes. That was the same reaction I had in my theater. I was like, well, I was waiting for that moment, because I'm like, there's no way this movie was made. It was made because of what we are today.
Yeah.
This is the reason why this movie was made. And I was waiting for that moment where it's like, when the movie ends, the end was like, but this is a little.
Yeah, it was ending on a high.
Yeah.
No, it's one of those situations where they could have ended it where I know what you're talking about, where they could have ended it on a high, and they really wanted to bring things full circle, and I think that without ending this full circle, you would have done this story a disservice.
Right, and when then that kicks into like the footage of real time, I'm like, I knew this was gonna happen, and then. Like I said, everybody was in silence. They used Trump footage, blah, 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 saying that,
everything from Charlottesville.
We're not saying that we want to make America again as back then. We were saying, that's equals. It was like, yeah, right. And then, so it ends, and this guy behind me gets up, looks at this guy, and he goes, this was a great movie.
Oh, no, like, I agree with you. If anything, like I said, Spike Lee's back in full form. I can't wait for the next movie that he does. Shout outs to him, shout outs to Jordan Peele, shout outs to Jason Blum.
I know, yeah.
Shockingly.
It's just, like I said, it's a great, phenomenal movie. Hopefully the Academy sees this and appreciates this movie, because I will nominate this as best writing.
Oh, they got the standing ovation at Cannes. They got Grand Prix at Cannes as well.
Yeah, so
hopefully if they overlook this, then they're doing this film a disservice.
Yeah, they do.
While I have been singing this film's praises as much as I have just two little critiques, and that's the lead of the BSU, Laura Herron, I believe. She was Liz in Homecoming. I loved her. I loved her performance. I feel like every scene that she was in, she was fantastic. But it's just whenever they moved away from her storyline with Ron, I believe.
Oh, right.
It was a little
like, oh.
like it would move away, and then I would
You
forget
forget
about
about
it,
it.
and
Yes.
then I would sit there and be like, "Oh, we're back. I'm glad we're back." But
yeah.
why did I need to forget that? Also, there was little pacing issues here and there. I thought the whole dance sequence after that was a little bit misplaced for me.
Okay.
Especially after a story regarding when they were leaving, trying to like get Kwame Ture back to his hotel room.
Yeah.
I thought that was a little bit misplaced, but other than that, I loved this movie. Like I said, I feel like Spike Lee's back in full form. I'm going pretty high with this one.
Ooh.
I'm going high. I'm giving this.
Hear you. I always go first. I want to hear you first.
Oh man, I'm going at least like 9.5.
Oh.
I'm going 9.5.
Wow.
Just for my critiques alone, I probably get it. Without those, I'll probably get it to 10, but I'm giving it 9.5.
See, those critiques that you told me reminded me, but like I said, the more I think about leaving the theater, the more I think about this movie.
Yeah, and what it is.
It just brings me joy. It's just a great movie. I'm going 10 out of 10.
Oh, really?
Yeah. No, I like I said, I left the theater happy, like not happy as in yeah. No, I like this movie is just a reminder. Is a political movement, if you could say too.
Yes.
Of stopping racism.
Oh, most definitely.
So
It's
that's why this movie, to me, I barely give 10s out of 10s. I give this movie 10 out of 10. So,
yeah. It's, if anything, I feel like I'd probably end up going back on it, rewatching it, and then like loving it even more. Maybe like my critiques may like be a little bit smaller in the grand scheme of things, but fantastic film. Yeah. We need to use this film to infiltrate hate, as the tagline says.
Yes, right. All right, folks. Thank you for joining us. Comment below. Let us know. You want us to review other movies or whatever, classics, oldies. We'll do the research and do it.
Yeah, no, who knows? Maybe since you haven't seen like a good portion of like Spike Lee films, we can do like some Spike Lee films.
Like if there's like very slow week, we can just knock that out. But yeah. All right, folks. Like I said, follow us on everywhere on social media.
Yes, definitely.
All right, so take care and see you guys later.
Have a good one, moviegoers.
Bye-bye.